Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. It's Rob here for the Great Wall of Comics. We're doing what we do on Thursdays. We're doing another episode of Only My Slabs. Let's go! All right, so here we are, another Thursday, another dozen graded books from my over 1,200 graded book collection. We go through them one by one. We'll talk about them a little bit, and you'll get to see a little piece of what's in my collection. And then you do me a favor and leave a comment down below and let me know which ones of today's books were your favorites. Which ones do you think you'd like to have for your own personal collection? All right, let's kick it right off the bat the way that we do, and continuing on the first three books, or the last three books from box number 8. This is Venom issue 26. So this was, of course, the Donny Cates run on Venom. Was super popular, spawned a billion different variants. Peach Momoko joined the cover artist. She wasn't yet signed to Marvel as she is today, but was going all over the place. It was like the year of Peach Momoko, but this was the first time we got to see her explore some of her horror roots, doing some of these covers. Some really cool looking covers. This one, Venom number 26. It says noted here, first distributed appearance of virus, intended to be the second appearance, but distributed before Free Comic Book Day 2020 due to COVID-19 shipping delay. So Virus, of course, was super hyped up character that everybody was excited for, but literally went nowhere despite showing up on the scene. And then the big reveal of who Virus was. If you actually think back to this storyline, they left that character in the alternate future, and that was it. Completely forgot about him, which is unfortunate because I'd love to see. I hope that means that we have the potential of seeing Virus turn up again in the future, because Virus was kind of a really cool design and a cool concept. All right, next up, we continue. This is Venom number 27, another Peach Momoko cover. So we get this cool stuff going on here. This one here says first full appearance of Codex. So we get the first appearance of Codex in here, which of course is turns out to be Dylan Brock. These were retailer exclusives. And then this one, which is one of my absolute favorites, because this is the style of Peach Momoko I like. This is number 30, and this is what's called a Momoko sketch variants. What I love about these sketch variants is that you can see the pencil lines and such underneath the inking. It's something that you just don't see in most quote-unquote sketch variants. Most sketch variants that we see, like a Jim Lee sketch variant or something, it might be the finished pencils, but you don't see the stuff, the underlaying blue lines, or in this case here, they're purple, little pencil that normally when you do their normal production, if that stuff won't be inked over, it gets lost, it doesn't transfer. But this gives you some great insight into the artist and their work and how they're doing it. And she has done several pieces like this, and when I have a bunch of them, I think they're absolutely her best work. These sketch variants I love more than the completed water paint, or the watercolor variant completions. All right, so that wraps up box 8. We're going to start box 9, but first, guys, hit that subscribe button or thumbs up button if you don't mind so far. We'd really appreciate it. Helps this channel. All the channel revenue goes to Comics Curing Cancer. So your interaction really helps the algorithm find this video, get in front of more people. That's more ad revenue, and that all goes to support Comics Curing Cancer, an official campaign of the American Cancer Society. All right, let's kick her off. Box number 9. Banger. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 134. This is the first appearance of Tarantula. Now, what's always funny to me is whenever I see this cover, I immediately think of like Spectacular Spider-Man #1 because the covers are very, very similar with Spider-Man up on this wall and the tarantula attacking and stuff. But different books, obviously. But here we go. First appearance of the tarantula. And that is in a 5.5, issue 134 with that custom label. All right, we're going to get into a series of books that I've picked up slabbed because they're keys, but they're very unique keys. Some of these are essentially, they're what we call the Mary Jane keys. First up here, this is Amazing Spider-Man 143. Now, what it says on the book, if you were Chris asking me, read the left-hand side of the label, I would tell you it's the first appearance of Cyclone. But in the Mary Jane keys, this is the first book in which Peter and MJ kiss. Their first in-panel kiss appears here in Amazing Spider-Man 143. As you may know, I'm a huge proponent of Peter and MJ togetherness. I know Marvel has done their best to try to erase it. They're coming up almost pretty soon. We're going to have more issues with them not together than we'll had. Actually, we probably already are, because Peter and MJ not actually getting together until, they're most of the first 100 issues. They dated in the early, I don't know. This is a good question. How many issues have been together versus not together? We're getting close. Either way, in Marvel, you're doing it wrong. Peter and MJ, they belong together. Here we go with Amazing Spider-Man 182. Rocket Racer's back in town. Now this one, issue 182, this is the Peter Parker proposes to Mary Jane for the first time. So he proposes to her. Yay! Unfortunately, she would say no. Here we go. Book that was major huge for a while. Amazing Spider-Man 210. All that hullabaloo of, hey, Madam Web is coming. First appearance of Madam Web here. A lot of people into the concept of that speculation. Madam Web's the way to go. Well, Sydney Sweeney couldn't save that movie. All right, next up, we chugged through these books. I love it. Let's move it. Move it. Amazing Spider-Man 260. Here we have just a Hobgoblin. This is a direct edition here from 1985. Hobgoblin cover and appearance. Rose appearance. Franklin Richards and Sue Richards cameo. So, that's it. Just a 9.8 graded copy of a book with the Hobgoblin. Now, time for another Mary Jane key. Amazing Spider-Man 290. Peter Parker asks the big question. That's right. Once again, Peter proposes to Mary Jane Watson. So, I guess in reality, if you want to factor in, if you try to figure out how long they've been married together, I guess the reality is we're long. Their marriage, since they don't get married, they're not even married yet here, and that doesn't happen till later on. I guess the reality of the situation is they were only really married for about 200 something issues, but they've been apart for so much more. So why is it that we are so stuck on that they need to be married? So many Spider-Man fans, I actually, to be honest, I've never heard anybody tell me, no, Peter should not be with Mary Jane married. Forget the Gwen Stacy people, the people who say, oh, he should have been with Gwen Stacy. Forget that element of it. If you honestly believe that Spider-Man is better without MJ as his wife, leave a comment down below. I honestly, it's not that I'm going to bash you. I'm not bashing you. I just have never really heard anybody argue that Brand New Day was a great idea, separating Peter and MJ and intentionally keeping them apart all these years, even though they tease them back and forth together again, not bringing them together somehow, that's a good thing. I've not heard that argument. And if you're a person who actually believes it, I'd love to hear your reasoning why. Maybe you'll convince me. Probably not. But hey, debate is good. There's nothing wrong with a debate. All right, here we go. Banger time. Serious bangers. And I mean it. No faking, no like this is a banger to me. These are just legit, straight up bangers. Here we go. Amazing Spider-Man 298 in a CGC 9.8. This is our very first Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man. And back in my day, this was what was considered the first cameo of Venom. The reality of the situation is, we would call it a Venom cameo maybe, but all we see is like his hand. So it's not really, it's kind of like the early MJ where we never saw her face type thing. Well, after 298, you have to go to 299, which of course in a 9.8 again, and back in my day, when I was collecting, when I was young, this was the first full appearance of Venom. It's not. By our own definitions, this is my established rule. This is a cameo as well. This is not the first full appearance, but it is probably the first full body appearance. But it would still be a cameo. Shows up, we see him in the final panel, very much like Hulk 180. So Amazing Spider-Man 299, it even labeled as a Venom cameo, and of course, chance appearance. One more book. Can you guess what that book is? You shouldn't have to guess hard. There it is. Banger. Amazing Spider-Man 300. Our first full appearance of Venom. And this is where we mean he's featured, is integral part of the entire story. If you remove Venom from this story, it changes everything. 299, you remove Venom from the last page, it changes nothing from the story. But here we go. Amazing Spider-Man 300. Now, this was only an 8.5. Those others on 8s. Rob, why the slacking? Well, to be honest, I haven't gotten around to buying another copy of this book. This book was my brother-in-law's copy. My brother-in-law and my wife collected comics together. And so this was kind of like their book. And when my brother-in-law passed away at a young age, in his late 40s, this was like one of only few things he had left valuable in his estate. And my wife took that all on, and she brought it home with us and put it in a drawer somewhere and completely forgot about it. And it wasn't graded. It was just in a bag and a board. And then one day, years later, I'm sitting here doing something, and she comes like, "You're never going to guess what I found." And she brings this book. She was cleaning through all his old papers because she had just put it all aside, didn't want to deal with it, but found this book. And so we took this book, we had it cleaned, we had it pressed, it came back in 8.5, and this was now in the collection, a book that I will never get rid of because it's essentially my wife's and my brother-in-law's book, and it's reminds us fondly of her brother. So there you go. A great story to go with this Amazing Spider-Man. We found an Amazing Spider-Man 300 in the junk drawer. That happens. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Only My Slabs. Again, comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite. Which book do you like? Are you in the Mary Jane Pro, or are you in the no? Okay, let's keep Mary Jane and Peter separate camp. I have no idea. But most importantly, as I always say, you should collect what you want. And don't listen to anyone, including me. I'm just a fat man with a fat stack of comics and a fat opinion. Thanks for watching.